mercy and grace upon my life. Every day, na, na, na.
So on that note, we're just going to go into what's God got to say regarding Reflect and Love and this show. Really, what has God got to say about that, Naomi?
So we're going to open up with the verse that we're going to use as our reference to what God's got to say is 1 Corinthians 13 verse 4 to 6. I'm going to start off with the good old King Jimmy. So it says, charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemingly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in truth. And if you're anything like me, sometimes that goes way over my head. So I'm just going to do it in another translation as well. So between the Amplified and the New International Version, it kind of says that love endures, it's patient, it's kind, it's thoughtful. It's not jealous, doesn't boast or proud, it doesn't dishonor people, it's not self-seeking, not easily angered or sensitive, doesn't count up all the wrong things that you've done, and it doesn't delight in evil but rejoices in the truth. So when I was like reading through these things, it just really got me thinking. So one of the first things was about patience. So I don't know about you guys, but I think that's probably one of my most challenging areas in my life, to the point that probably for the last 5 years I've been kind of backbenching that particular area to work on. And then kind of this and then because God's like, oh, let's just work on this little area and let's just work on that little area. And so whenever he would kind of bring up patience, I'd be like, no, not this year, because I know that's something I really have to work on. But and so this year I really started thinking about that, about being patient, because patience has definitely been tested this year. And I think probably for a lot of people, their patience is being tested, whether it's the kids or, I know my hubby not emptying the bin tends to be one of the things where my patience, and the thing of being like irritable, like not saying that love is not irritable. So things like lack of sleep, I just had a baby, so breastfeeding and being hormonal and all these things, life circumstances. I feel like a lot of people maybe are going through that challenge of feeling very impatient, and I think that it just reminds me of God and how patient he's been with me, and I was the same as Sarah. I was raised in church, but I took a little detour, from the age of about 16, and I left church and I did that whole yo-yo thing, kind of in and out, and probably till I was about 25. So I mean, that was 9 years of God's patience, and I did at that time I did so many like destructive, like sinful, self-sabotaging things, and but I would have those moments where I would be like, I would want to return to God's love, because when you're like in that situation where you are partying every weekend and it is like a merry-go-round, it feels so happy and great, and then sometimes you'll be in a party and you'll just catch yourself and feel like is this all that there is? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that like really it? Or maybe it was like the come down on the Sunday, where where you're just feeling so rough and you start getting like the fear of like what you've done the night before, and you just feel like so terrible. And then you're like, I could actually be in church today, like being somewhere where God's just showering me with his love. And throughout all of those times of going to church and back in and out and in and out, it was that love. And every single time I would come back, God wasn't like, now what you been up to this time? Do you know what I mean? What else have you been doing? That thing of, he doesn't keep record of your wrongs.